very good evening and a warm welcome to State of Business on our television. I am Savindri Javardhana. Let's look at the top stories for the day. Expert committee appointed to review the MCC agreement hands over its final report to President and government guarantees of not signing the agreement. Government extends the suspension period on remittances of foreign exchange for another 3 months. News in detail. The expert committee appointed to review the Millennium Challenge Corporation agreement handed over its final report to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa today. Meanwhile, both cabinet spokespersons, Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena and Minister Dr. Ramesh Pathirana, assured the media that government will not sign the MCC agreement. The four-member expert committee headed by Professor Lalitha Sirigunaruwan handed over its final report to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at the Presidential Secretariat in Colombo this morning. The committee chairman also expressed their views after handing over the report to the President.
අවුරුදු දෙක තුනක් යනකොට ජනාධිපතිතුමනි මේ මිනිස්සුන්ගේ ඉඩම් ටික විදේශිකයෝ විසින් දැහැගෙන තියෙනවා. මේගොල්ල ඇවිල්ලා අස්සම් කළාට පස්සේ පනත මේක ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න පටන් ගත්තට පස්සේ ඒගොල්ල එතන ඉන්නවා. මේක අතරමඟ නවත්තනවා. මොකක් හරි නිදහසට කරුණක් දාලා ආණ්ඩුව ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී නැහැ. මානව අයිතිවාසිකම් උල්ලංඝනය කරලා ඔහොම කියලා මේක පාට ප්‍රධානය නවත්තනවා. ප්‍රධානය නැවතුවට මේකේ කොන්දේසි තියෙනවා. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ඉන්ට්‍රස්ට් රැකීම සඳහා ඒ කට්ටිය මෙහි ඉන්නවා කියලා. මේක ආධාරයක් තමයි. ණය නෙමෙයි. හැබැයි ආධාරයත් එක්ක හදන ගෙදර දොරේ අතුර අපි යාට දෙන්න ඕන. ඒකයි කොන්දේසිය. ඉතින් දොරේ අතුර දුන්නයි කියන්නේ ගේ අපිට අයිති නැහැ කියන එකයි ඊට පස්සේ. ඉතින් ඒකට අපිට එකඟ වෙන්න බෑනේ.
The committee had also presented a copy of the final report to Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at Temple Trees last evening. Temple Trees sources revealed that the Prime Minister will table the final report at the next cabinet meeting. The four-member committee had handed over its preliminary report to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa in February, and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa had then tabled the interim report of the committee to the Cabinet of Ministers. The Cabinet of Ministers had decided not to sign the Millennium Challenge Corporation in its present form based on the recommendations of the committee. Meanwhile, media personnel questioned the co-cabinet spokesman, Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, asking whether the government's stance on the MCC agreement has changed.
මේ ගිවිසුම අකුරෙන් අකුරට සිංහල භාෂාවට පරිවර්තනය කළා පොතක් විදිහට එළි දැක්ුවේ මම. ඒ නිසා මේ ගිවිසුම පිළිබඳ ඉදිරිපත් කරපු කොළඹ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ මහාචාර්ය ලලිත ගුණරුවන් මහතා ප්‍රමුඛ කණ්ඩායමක් අපි පත් කළේ. අපි පැහැදිලි ලෙස විරුද්ධ වුණා මේ ගිවිසුම මැතිවරණයට කලින් එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය අත්සන් කරනවට. එතකොට ඒ පිළිබඳ අතුරු වාර්තාවක ඉදිරිපත් කළා මීට කලින්. ඒ අතුරු වාර්තාවේ ප්‍රධාන කරුණු දෙකක් තිබුණා. එකක් එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ විසින් සකස් කළා මිලේනියම් චැලෙන්ජ් කෝපරේෂන් වෙත ඉදිරිපත් කරපු ගිවිසුම රටේ මූලික නීතිය වන ආණ්ඩු ක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ සමහර වගන්ති වලට පටහැනි බවත් රටේ පවතින සාමාන්‍ය නීති පද්ධතියට පටහැනි බවත් එවැනි ගිවිසුමක් අත්සන් කිරීමේදී අදාළ ආයතනවල රාජ්‍ය ආයතනවල නිසි අනුමැතිය ලබා නොමැති බවත් අතුරු වාර්තාවේ තිබුණා. ඒ අනුව රජයේ පැහැදිලි ප්‍රතිපත්ති තීරණයක් ගත්තා. කුමන රටක් සමග හෝ කුමන බලවතෙක් සමග හෝ රටේ ආණ්ඩු ක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවට හා රටේ නීති පද්ධතියට පටහැනි කිසිම ගිවිසුමකට මොනම වාසියක් ලැබුණයි කිව්වත් අත්සන් කරන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. ඒ තමයි රජයේ ප්‍රතිපත්තිය.
ගරු බන්දුල ගුණවර්ධන ඇමතුමා අවස්ථා දෙකකදී ඉතාම පැහැදිලිව මෙම කැබිනට් මණ්ඩල සාකච්ඡාවේදී අත්සන් නොකරන බව ප්‍රකාශ කළා. ඒක සාමූහික ප්‍රකාශයක්. එතුමාගේ ප්‍රකාශය මම ස්ථිර කරන එක අත්සන් කරන්නේ නැහැ.
Cabinet of Ministers approves a cabinet paper to extend the suspension period of certain remittances from this country to other countries for another 3 months as per the Foreign Exchange Act. However, at the same time, the Cabinet of Ministers has also encouraged the flow of the remittances of foreign currency into the country across foreign currency deposit accounts. Cabinet spokesperson of the current government, Ministers Dr. Bandula Gunawardena and Dr. Ramesh Pathirana, briefed the media on the decisions made by the Cabinet of Ministers last morning. Cabinet of Ministers earlier on the 1st of April this year decided to suspend certain remittances from this country to others for 3 months, whereas the relevant order was issued by the Gazette notification on the 2nd of April this year for taking necessary measures as per Section 22 of the Foreign Exchange Act. Cabinet of Ministers also decided at another meeting on the 22nd of April 2020 for taking necessary steps to encourage the remittance of foreign currency into the country across foreign currency deposit accounts. Following the initial decisions, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, as the Minister of Finance, Economic and Policy Development, submitted another proposal to extend the period of the Gazette notification appearing the orders applicable for the limitation of remittances made out of the country by another 3 months from the 2nd of July this year. The Cabinet of Ministers have approved the proposal accordingly and have also allowed to minimize the issues erupted due to the provisions existing in the laws applicable to foreign exchange law when implementing the methodologies introduced for encouraging the remittance of foreign exchange into the country through foreign exchange deposit accounts.
මාස 3ක කාලයකට විදේශ විනිමය ගලායම් හා ගලායාම් පාලනය කිරීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය විධිවිධාන යොදලා තිබුණා. රජය මුදල් අමාත්‍යතුමා දැනුම් දුන්නා. මේ විදේශ විනිමය ගලායම් හා ගලායාම් පාලනය කිරීමේ කාලය තව මාස 3කට දික් කරන්න.
Issuing a statement, the central bank announces that it has approved 13,861 loan applications under the first phase of the refinancing scheme, totaling nearing 28 billion rupees. Having identified the urgent need of reviving the businesses adversely affected by the COVID-19 outbreak and thereby to promote economic activity in the country, the Central Bank and the Government of Sri Lanka launched a new refinance facility under the Prosperity Loan Scheme named Saubhagya COVID-19 Renaissance Facility as announced on 24th March this year. Thus, the Central Bank has approved 13,861 loan applications under the first phase of this scheme, totaling 27.9 billion rupees, out of which the licensed banks have already disbursed 14.8 billion rupees among 7,274 affected businesses island-wide as of yesterday. These loans carry a concessional interest rate of 4% per annum with a grace period of 6 months and a repayment period of 24 months. Further, the Central Bank now stands ready to provide further 120 billion rupees at a concession rate of 1% per annum to commercial banks for on-lending to the affected businesses at a concession rate of 4% per annum under the Phase 2 of the scheme. Stay tuned for more news right after this break. Welcome back after the break. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has given 1 year's deadline to Lanka Salt Limited, which runs at a loss since 2018, to transform into a profitable public entity. President Rajapaksa made these comments during a discussion convened to evaluate the current status of the Lanka Salt Limited at Presidential Secretariat yesterday. Accordingly, it was noted that Lanka Salt Limited has made a loss of 2.8 million rupees and 10.91 million rupees in years 2018 and 2019 respectively. Thus, President Rajapaksa has emphasized that the chairman and the board of directors should take the responsibility of investigating causes for loss occurred during last 3 years and to transform the entity into a profit-earning one. The Lanka Salt Limited, which was supposed to be privatized in 1998, was vested under the purview of Employees Trust Fund with the intervention of then Minister of Labour Mahinda Rajapaksa. The organization, with 90% ownership of the company's capital by the ETF and 10% by the employees, transformed itself into a profit-making venture, the PMD reported. President Rajapaksa stressed that it is absolutely necessary for every company under Employees Trust Fund to earn profits. In order to gain profits, President instructed the officials to devise separate strategies for the next 6 months and the following year. Complete termination of salt importation is necessary, and Lanka Salt Limited should once again export their products as they did prior to the year 2015, President emphasized. Minister of Transport Services Management Mahinda Amaravira announces a relief package to the private bus industry in the country who are adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. In the meantime, addressing a media briefing in Colombo yesterday, Minister Amaravira assured that the bus fare will not be increased as the entire country has been battered by the coronavirus. Accordingly, Minister of Transport Services Management Mahinda Amaravira added that many private bus owners associations have complained that they are not receiving a proper income as the use of public transportation of people is low these days and that it is hard to operate the services under the Health Ministry restrictions pertaining to COVID-19 pandemic. Minister added that the private bus owners have requested him to provide them with a bus fare revision. Nevertheless, Minister Mahinda Amaravira noted that the government will not increase the bus fare as all sectors of the country have been negatively affected by COVID-19. However, as an alternative solution to the issues of the private bus owners, the subject minister has announced a relief package that will be provided to the private bus industry. Accordingly, it has been decided to grant a concession period of 3 more months to pay leasing and insurance installments of private buses. It was also mentioned that the government has taken measures to provide a 300,000 rupee loan for bus owners and grant a loan at a concession rate of 4% to purchase new low-flow buses. The Ceylon Electricity Board assures that if any consumer has paid excessively for the electricity bill, the excess amount will be deducted from the next bill. Moreover, the CEB stated that if any consumer needs any information on the electricity bill, they can clarify the issue by contacting the number 1987. Addressing the meeting, officials of the Ceylon Electricity Board added that if any electricity consumer finds it hard to pay an excessive electricity bill, they could pay the average of the bills paid in previous months before COVID-19 virus. Moreover, it was noted that if any consumer has paid excessively, the excess amount will be deducted from the next bill. The CEB also announced it would not charge a fine or charge extra for late payments but would cut power supply if the consumer fails to pay the monthly bill incessantly. Officials of CEB mentioned that the household electricity consumption in the months after the island-wide lockdown owing to COVID-19 is comparatively higher than in February. Moreover, it was reported that over 90% of June electricity bills have been paid by the consumers. Stay tuned for stock updates right after this break. Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The all-share price index gained 33.61 points to close at 5,145.55 and the S&P SL20 gained 12.11 points to close at 2,287.56. The turnover was 1 billion rupees and over 52 million shares were traded. Up next are Forex trades. That's all news for today. See you tomorrow with State of Business at the usual time. Until then, take care. Good night.